The recent scholarship I chose is John Winthrop's City of Women. In 1936 Massachusetts, women were seen as housekeepers, childbearers, and sexual partners, meant to be passionate believers and submissive to men. The Puritan movement began encouraging female assertiveness, not only in the customs of society, but also in religious discourse. John Winthrop, the governor, kept a journal which included stories of women's activities because to him, the history they were making was just as important as what men were doing. One story he wrote about was a woman named Anne Hutchinson. She held meetings in her home spreading the gospel. As her meetings became more popular, supporters of the pastor John Wilson of Boston's First Church became alarmed due to her critiquing of his sermons. The new governor, Sir Henry Vane, embraced her teachings. Winthrop disagreed with a woman holding such large meetings even within her own home and won back governorship. To reassert his authority, he arrested Hutchinson for diverse matters. She lost both state and church trials and was expelled from the colony and moved to Aquidneck, now known as Portsmouth, Rhode Island, where she continued her meetings. After her move, she made such an impact, some men and women followed from Boston and followed her to Aquidneck. On the day she was expelled, when leaving the church, she was seen with Mary Dyer. Dyer was known as the woman who birthed a monster, meaning that she had a deformed fetus. Jane Hawkins was a midwife who gave oils and other stuff to women to help them conceive a child. She was believed to be a witch, as were most midwives that administered medication. Hawkins was not killed for her actions, but was expelled from the colony. Another female healer was not as fortunate. In 1648, Margaret Jones was executed for her sinfulness. Winthrop wrote, "She had such a malignant touch as many persons, men, women, and children, whom she stroked or touched, were taken with deafness or vomiting or other violent pains or sickness." Two stories in Winthrop's journal contains mothers attacking their own children. The first was Dorothy Talaby. It is said that she fell at differences with her husband through spiritual delusions. She would try to kill her husband, her three-year-old child, and herself by not eating meat. After trying to help her sick mind and failing, the Salem church, which she once was very faithful to, casted her away. Soon she became possessed by Satan, though she thought it was the voice of God and believed God wanted her to snap the neck of her child to save her from future misery. In December of 1639, she was hung for her actions. Anne Het was the other mother that also attempted murdering her child. It was said she was of troubled mind about her spiritual state. After long desperation, she threw her infant into a well to drown. There was a stone pushed out in the well that caught the child and saved it. 5 years later, she again tried drowning her child in a creek. The first time she threw it in the shallow water and the child was able to crawl out. She immediately threw it back into deeper waters where the young man came through and saved the child. Het's story is different from the previous. Instead of being executed for her actions, she was just expelled from the colony. Within a few weeks after being cast out, she repented of her sins and was sound mind accepted back by the church. Winthrop knew that men just as well as women could fall victim to despair and sin, but it was seen that men held the responsibility of providing and being leaders for their families. Although men held these responsibilities, only God can save them from their sins. Regardless of gender, we have to follow our given commandments to be freed from our sins.